How often do you sit on the ground in daily life? We don't really need to anymore. When we've got chairs, sofas, beds, we don't really need to go down to the ground, and particularly not to sit there very much. But I truly believe that as we age, people tend to become less able to get up and down from the floor and certainly be comfortable on the floor because they no longer go there to do anything. So I'm passionate about encouraging you to use the floor as what I call the best piece of equipment there is. In this video, I'm going to show you 7 different sitting positions, some of which you may or may not be able to achieve yet, and movements to transition between them so that we can create a little movement break of different sitting positions. There are a myriad of benefits of sitting on the ground. Obviously, we open out our hips and use them in different ways. When we're not leaning against the back of a chair, we're using our core to hold our upper body upright, and therefore it is engaged and strengthening in this lovely upright pattern. Also, to be able to get down to and back up from the floor, we need that strength to push against gravity, using it as a body weight type of exercise to get back up. So every time we go to the floor, it's a win-win. One of the benefits of knowing a variety of different sitting positions is that we can be here for longer. The advantage of sitting on the floor is that our body tells us in no uncertain terms after short periods that it wants us to move into a different position. And that's a great thing because each time we're firing up our cardiovascular system to create that movement, we're increasing our mobility and our strength. But I'm not comfortable on the floor, I hear you cry. Well, not yet. I wasn't either until I realized the benefits of being here. So, to get started, I want you to use props. Plenty of cushions and blankets. Making it more comfortable means we're more likely to be there for longer, but also it's just kinder on our joints while we get used to these positions. If we're sitting in cross-sit position and we feel pulled backwards, it's a great idea to lift up and sit on a cushion so that we can be more relaxed in an upright position. The same is true of side bent sit position, where we often feel like we're being pulled to one side. Again, take the cushion and put it underneath the side we're being pulled towards, and we immediately feel like it's easier to be upright. Kneeling is a lot of people's nemesis, so I would encourage you to use a blanket to go underneath your knees. You can put cushions underneath your ankles if that's uncomfortable. And if flexing your knees to this extent is also tricky, then putting a cushion above the calves but behind the upper leg can just create enough space in the knee that it reduces pressure, and put as many as you want. But it just will allow you to start being in this position with all the advantages that brings, that unfortunately when we don't get into these positions and avoid them because of how uncomfortable it feels, that we're missing out on. So now I've talked about bolstering, let's get on with the movement break, moving between sitting positions, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you'd like some more inspiration about how to fit more ground time into your daily life, then sign up for my free ebook, Making the Ground Your Friend for Life, which is linked in the caption below. So we're going to move through all of those sitting positions, transitioning between them, and make it into a mini movement break that you can do on the floor at any time that will help you to access these positions more. Don't forget to pad out with cushions and blankets as needed. And let's get started. For the first run through, we're going to post our arms behind us and lean into them as we transition from position to position. And we're going to do 2 or 3 of each movement. So starting in cross sit, we're leaning into those hands to lean back and cross the legs the other way, the uncomfortable way, and swap a few times. Moving on from cross sit, we're now going to take one leg out to the side into half long sit position, and then we're going to take that bent leg out to a V leg long sit position. Then bend the other leg to come in, and rocking into those hands to alternate between the two. Bend and straighten, and just see where you can get your leg to. If the knee can't go down towards the floor, it's absolutely fine. It's just trying to access these movements and moving in different ways than we do normally. In and out. And now we're going to combine them both by bending one leg and then the other, and bringing it underneath to come into one cross sit, open back out by reversing, and then start with the other leg to cross the awkward way, and then back again. And just do this a couple of times. Okay, taking one leg in bent into this half long sit, we're going to now move into the side bent sit position. To do this, take your arm that's on the bent knee side, a little bit further away, lean down into it by bending the elbow, to then bend the other leg behind you, so that you're creating this 90-degree pattern called side bent sit. And this is a 90-degree angle, hopefully, between one shin and the other, or at least that's what we're working towards. Again, posting, because we're in the movement pattern, leaning right back into the hands this time. What we're going to do is lift the whole leg over and shift both of them to be configured the opposite way. Lean in, lift those legs, and do what I call an air reverse between the side bent sit positions. And allow your upper body to swing back and away from the movement of the legs. It's just counterbalancing as it naturally needs to. Shift from side to side. And now we're going to come into kneeling. So, dropping the knees, bringing them a bit closer to each other, posting the hand to the side, we're going to lift the bottom up onto the heels to come into kneeling position. From here, we are going to lean into the hands, to tuck the toes, and sit onto them, and then lean back and untuck. And just do this again a few times, noticing how it feels. Is one big toe joint talking to you a little bit more than the other one? Can you not stay there for very long? Moving in and out again is a great way to start accessing what can be a more tricky position for people. In and out. And then back down to kneeling. And finally going into tall kneeling position. And this is where we hinge at the hips, keeping a lovely tall spine, and use a shift in our body weight to lift up and come into this position by sense tipping the pelvis up to open out to the front of the pelvis, then reversing by hinging through the hips, sticking the bottom out, keeping the tall spine with its natural curves, lowering down and sitting back onto the heels. And do this a couple of times. Superb. And now we're going to roll through that whole thing, but this time the challenge is to not use your hands on the floor. Let's see how we do. You can also take your arms out wide to the side if you want to. That's completely up to you. So, swapping cross sit to start. Off we go. Leaning back. Shifting your weight onto the back of your pelvis, noticing how the core has to switch on to swap those legs from one side to the other. Now moving to that half long sit, opening one leg out, then the other, to the wide V-leg sit. One in, and then one out. So here, we can take the arms out to the side. They're heavy in themselves, so just keeping them out to the sides is a nice bit of work. Side to side. And now, crossing. Opening out to V, and then alternating with the other leg to cross the other way. In we go. Are you feeling it? Okay, and now moving into side bent sit. So we bring one leg in, shift our weight out to bend the other leg to the side. And now the more challenging version without the arms. We really have to lift the knees and tilt onto the back of the pelvis to shift our weight back and around to come over to the other side. If you can't place the knees directly in front of you because of this, doesn't matter at all. That's why I've got a round mat and not a square, because we can travel anywhere. Humans are meant to move in this lovely 360-degree pattern, not just in linear movements in the shape of a traditional yoga mat. Side to side, see how you're doing with that, and use a hand if you have to, it's no problem. And then finally, bringing those knees together, we'll come to the kneeling position. To do this, again, either use your hand if you need to, or rock back and dive your arms forward to lift your bottom up and over into this kneeling position. And now, instead of leaning your hands into the floor, you're going to shift the weight forward to tuck the toes and untuck the toes. If you need to counterbalance, get your arms out in front of you. Absolutely fine. And also, to help yourself, you could also hold something weighted in front of you as well, which helps that counterbalancing movement as well. And then finally, as we did before, no arms were used before, hinging up, tall kneeling, and then hip hinge, back down into kneeling. Lift, push that pelvis up. Feel like it's tilting up to open out the often tight front area of the hips and lower. I hope you've enjoyed that. You've done really well. So we've sat and transitioned between lots of positions today. Cross sit, half long sit, V-leg long sit, side bent sit, kneeling, tall kneeling, and tuck toe kneeling. So that's 7 positions and their alternate sides. So that's a great repertoire of different positions that you can sit in to do a job. You can do something while sitting in side bent sit, and then when your body or for example, your hips start talking to you and saying that they're perhaps wanting movement, you can shift over, lifting your feet to the other side. Adding in 5-minute movement breaks like this, using the ground as a brilliant piece of equipment to help you open up your hips, is a fantastic thing to do on a regular basis throughout the day. If you've enjoyed this, then you'll love all the 5-minute movement videos that I have in the Reclaim Movement membership. You can sign up for a 7-day free trial, or you can take out a 3-day membership and give it a whirl and let me know what you think. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.